second.
Maybe just to try to like level up and try to like philosophy. There's a lot of drama. There's not so much out there on comedy. Just what we chat gets to know that. It's a great truths. Level up.
Okay, it's live right now.
I'm just testing. Okay, it's live right now. I'm just testing. Okay, it's live right now. I'm just testing.
Okay, so this is a live test. If anyone's in here, just put a thumbs up in the chat.
All right, we have 2 people in the room.
Yeah, so feel free to talk if you want to talk. This is the microphone is working this way. I don't know if anyone in the laptop.
Looks like.
So this is us, yeah.
Chat, can you hear us?
I don't know if there is anyone in.
Muted.
But we're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Friday Live. This is going to be confusing, but live from New York. It's Friday Live on Saturday. Saturday afternoon.
Saturday afternoon.
Live from New York. It's Saturday afternoon. Whatever.
I'm really starting to rethink the idea that we could brand something called Friday Live that you can do any day of the week.
It feels weird.
It does. It's cool though. I like it. It's different.
So for this Friday Live, I knew that I was going to be in the same city as Ben and Tara. So instead of interviewing one of our lovely Blue creators, this week I actually asked the co-founders of Blue if I could interview them. And also, we just love chatting about live. Every time we meet up, we're just constantly obsessing.
Yeah, that was the word.
The past, the future, everything about it. And I think you guys have, some of the deepest understanding of this industry and where we're at. So I just love hearing your guys' thoughts, and I came prepared with some questions. But first, you guys have been traveling a lot. How are you guys doing?
I kind of feel like I woke up this morning and I kind of didn't know where I was.
the classic hotel room,
Yeah, which
like
hotel
another hotel.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Yeah. So the last couple of I think 2 big cities recently. Earlier this week in LA for the partner summit with
Mm.
TikTok, which was an awesome
It was really,
event.
yeah, it was really nice.
Congratulations to Blue on those awards, by the way.
Yeah.
Congratulations to
trophies.
the
Yeah.
blue creators.
That's
You
right.
guys are you guys are the ones that have the most viewership of all of the other agencies.
Yeah.
Like you guys are rocking it
Yeah.
out.
It was a fun experience, and then obviously coming over here, and then kind of, I guess this is the end of the Laugh House
Mm.
piece of work that we've all been doing.
Started a
it's
while back ago.
Started a long time ago.
Yeah.
Basically helping comedians get on live, but it's culminating in, I mean, you hosting the red carpet.
I know, that's
at New York
amazing.
Comedy
I'm so
Festival
excited for you.
on live, which I think is like, I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about this now. It's like, as we're putting this together, realizing how, yeah, a red carpet thing is something that has happened for years. Like, we've been watching those things for years and years, but doing it on live with the interaction, people have been doing it live before, but doing it on live as we work in is a kind of a different beast.
What, where there's like a reciprocacy. Is that the word?
I don't know.
Where
It is now.
Yeah.
It's interactive, whereas
Yeah.
like before it was one way. It was like, here's what's happening, look.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like there's an interaction where the viewers can actually chime in and ask questions and interact.
Well, it's funny because a lot of the questions I have are kind of on the topic and pulling in from Ben's previous experience in the entertainment business, of course, too. Just like where entertainment has been and how TikTok Live is likely to affect it and kind of change the world in that way. And it's funny to kind of pull that in, you know, like the red carpet was something from this traditional entertainment industry. It's been around forever. And now it's, how do we approach that as a live problem? Like, how do we make that good entertainment? Like,
Right.
you can see that tonight.
Yeah, hopefully, I mean,
Yeah.
it's all on you, bro.
I'm sure you have
Right.
tricks up your sleeve
Yeah.
for that one.
It was funny, actually, last night we were watching it. I'm not even sure if it was a rerun, but it was certainly, it had been live in the last couple of days, an SNL show.
No, was it? I thought we were watching Jimmy Fallon.
Oh,
last
it was
night.
Jimmy Fallon and
Yeah, it was the Tonight Show.
The Tonight Show. And obviously, if you watch The Tonight Show, you break it down, it's basically different segments with different people who are coming on, and they're doing a tour. Or in this case, the guy was he was launching a new TV show about cooking, and the premise is it's one chef and two diners, and it's like a private diner.
David Chang.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
it.
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
it's on Netflix. They're it's
Is it
launching.
good?
Yeah,
Is it good?
It's interesting, you know,
Okay.
comedians that I look up to.
Yeah.
Now they're funny,
Uh-huh.
but you see how funny they are in a stand-up special because they've worked on those for
Right.
years.
Yeah.
They're a little bit less funny, and
Yeah.
it really makes this skill of being a live streamer,
Yeah.
not just a comedian, but
Mhm.
a live streamer. It's very unique.
Mhm.
And these
Okay.
people that are really talented stars can't necessarily bring it over.
Yeah.
It's a little awkward. And some of them have been in a mansion for too long. in my
Yeah.
opinion.
So he said in his segment, he's cooking, and there's another guest there, and he says, "Oh, I can't quite remember the."
Jimmy
like,
asked him a question
yeah,
about
and
how
he
he's
said,
going.
"Oh, how's it going?" And he says, "Well, you know, live is really difficult." Like talking to Jimmy Fallon, who does live TV
Yeah,
for years,
For years.
like
Saturday Night Live.
the
Yeah.
new guy is basically recognizing this is a different format. It's not like doing a TV show. It's not even like doing a live stage show. It's live in the. I think it's just that anything can happen,
Yeah,
and there's no escape valve.
no.
Every second that goes by, it can go right and it can
It
go wrong.
go tremendously wrong, and you're worried about that. It's always in the back of your mind.
I think like that, it's not my original opinion, but it's like, that's like the fundamental thing about live is that it's kind of like, for me, I'm a big consumer of media. I watch a lot of YouTube videos, but after seeing live, being a fan of live, a 10-minute YouTube video where I'm physically able just to scroll to the end or scroll to the middle, it's now just a piece of, it feels more dead.
Mm,
Yeah,
Being so used to live streaming where there's something magical and
yeah.
there's a reason why this industry is like piping hot right now. And I think
Yeah.
like that's kind of a big part of this is that it's
Yeah.
magical and we don't know what's going to happen in a world where I have access to all the entertainment. And maybe in 5 years, I can
Mhm.
tell AI to make a movie in Quentin Tarantino style. That's
Yeah.
this, that. but at the same time, it's not me connecting in a human way to other people.
Right.
And I think
Right.
that's going to
Yeah.
live
Yeah.
longer.
Yeah, we were just talking about this in our last podcast. We were talking about how attention span, like you're saying, like you would scroll because it's like, it feels dead. I want to get somewhere else. Like something needs to excite me and it's not exciting me. So let's move forward. The attention span's getting shorter and shorter for us, but it's getting closer to like live entertainment. And I was saying like my attention span is very short now, but when I'm watching a live, it's like time doesn't exist. It's like
Mhm.
all of a sudden I blink and it's been an hour or,
Mm.
30 minutes or whatever. And it's like, I have no concept of time.
It's
So-
almost like our attention spans get so short that you get to a point, it's like you're watching a 10-second video and then a 5-second video and then a 1-second video and then it's live and now your attention span is like
It's wide
infinite
open again.
Like the podcast effect.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
Something interesting too, I've just used YouTube for years and years, and now that they've added shorts, there is this nice feature where I'm watching YouTube and I can quickly dive in to some quick 8-second video and then go back out. It's like my attention like
Yeah.
moves different things. And I think
Yes.
as a live streamer, it's to kind of like super serve your audience for making sure they're getting enough entertainment where they don't feel that need. Because
Exactly.
there's always that question. of what's
Yeah.
gonna
Right.
happen at
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah, I think that's why there's like the segments and things like, it's not just the same thing happening for a span of time, like
Mhm.
especially with your with your live streams. It's like any second anything can happen. You
Right.
don't know, and it can change. Like even the way you see you in the frame, like you have multiple cameras now, so even like the way we look at you is could change in a heartbeat.
I like, thank you for referencing my stream. It's the front.
Yeah.
But also like I think that like, it's not that I'm the only person doing something like that, but that's not owned by the front. It's just an early adopter. And I think that's more the truth of
Mhm.
this industry and this entertainment. And just more people will come to it and they're not copying the front. They're just doing the things that work. But
Yeah.
it's true. It's like there has to be a question in your mind for what's going to happen. If you knew what was going to happen in an entire movie, that movie would be exciting.
Right.
There has to be some like unpredictability
Yeah.
involved in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a different format of entertainment. It definitely, the thing I love about what's happening right now is that there's this platform that allows any individual who has a talent or an imagination or something, a spark that can create their own entire channel, and like create shows and like entertain the world with that.
So yeah, like how is TikTok Live redefining the path to become an influencer or entertainer? Like what is that now, especially compared to what it used to be?
So that's funny you say influencer. I'm not sure there's an answer, or this isn't necessarily like solved, but it seems like there is the influencer industry, right? It's been called an industry, but previously, or still, there's the television industry and the movie industry and the record industry. Music industry, theater. They're all like distinct forms of entertainment, and within them, in the music industry, people do short form, they make records and they play live, and then
They have all the different forms.
and in movies they make movies, but they promote it using social media. And I think at the moment live is getting lumped in with being an influencer or some kind of social media,
which I don't necessarily think it belongs there.
I think
it needs its own vertical.
Live streaming is the bracket is like there's television, there's live streaming.
Right.
How do you promote yourself as a live streamer? Well, I use social media like the television shows do, or whatever it is. Like, and at the moment, it's lumped together. And at some point, it has to be to do with quality and just numbers of viewers. People would just recognize it as an industry in its own right.
Yeah, and not only is it lumped together, but there is a misuse of the word live streaming, because there's Hulu, Netflix, they're all considered live streaming platforms. And then there's Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram Live, like those are live streaming platforms. Like they're two completely different types of what live is. One is in real time and one is live. That means you can watch it whenever you want to.
Or like the word streaming.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
So for a second, I want to go back to the award that blew recently got.
Right.
What does that really mean about the creators?
Yeah. So there's kind of two, like the award is a recognizing, it's a original creative content award.
Yeah,
And it is
it's
TikTok Live.
outstanding content.
Outstanding content, yeah. And it's TikTok Live recognizing that yes, you need streamers on the platform who can monetize. But if you're going to build an industry, you also need streamers who are able to monetize, but also able to hold audience in the short term, the medium term, and the long term. And
That takes content,
takes
good content.
Like thought, creativity, like planning,
Direction.
being able to be freewheeling and like live in the moment. And I think the award is recognizing, we need both of these things. We need immediate growth in the industry, but we also need people who are building deep, like, and wide audiences.
Yeah, like
because
sustainability.
Like a TV, if you're genuinely going to take the eyes away from television, like you need stuff on there that people are really into big time, and that needs to be good.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be polished in the way like a movie is, but it needs to be good in the way that spending half an hour with somebody and being entertained by them requires a little more than them just doing the same thing.
It needs to be captivating. It needs to be captivating, and that whatever it is, like anything can be captivating as long as you're using it in the correct way.
So I guess like that, having that award, it's like literally Blue is leading the industry in this way. And the more high quality entertainment that exists on the platform, the more it grows.
Yeah.
And it's like this, like the creators in Blue right now are leading the charge in this. And it is kind of this like bigger picture heavy thing that's happening. I know that I get caught up every single day and just like the day-to-day, where's that light facing, when do I go live, and just kind of metrics. But it's kind of fun to like reflect once in a while on this like this bigger picture, like how we're actually like all these like, you know, part of this little
part of this little
like moving this industry.
It's a little thing, but it's a big thing as well. It's like when you reflect back on
creating a huge shift.
Shift.
A blue shift.
Yeah. But like you reflect back on early TV and early movies, there are shows that are classics, and there are shows that are like mean a lot to people. Are they on now? 30 years later? No. But they are referenced now, and I think stuff that's being done now, people like yourself and Siri and Captain Eric and the docs of this world, you're all doing shows, real shows that people are really watching them. I was thinking about this the other day. Literally, I forget who I was watching, but I was thinking there'll be some people who are watching this show right now that will look back on this in 20 years, and they won't remember that they were watching a person in their room. They'll remember it as the show that they were watching.
Yeah.
I remember when I was 25 and I used to watch the Frank show, and he'd come on like in the evenings, and it was wild and wacky. It was crazy.
I know.
And I watched it for 10 years, and now he's a mystery man and lives on an island. That he owns.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was watching this interview with Sam Altman, founder of OpenAI, ChatGPT, and he just talked about the gratitude he has for the people that invented the computer. And there are these people that you don't really know the people who invented whatever part of the computer. But really just this sense of pride that he has to be laying down this brick in a long road of technological progress. And when I saw that, it's a little nerdy, but I was thinking, what in my life, in our life, like what are we doing in that way? And it is small in some way, but it's also like this moving real thing, and every single Blue creator that's a part of that award, or really any live streamer who's like pushing and trying to bring more people to this platform, is doing something that's big and very exciting to be a part of.
Yeah,
it really
cool.
is.
Yeah, it's not like small words when we say that. It's like each individual is changing, like that changing the world and changing entertainment. It's like, yeah, it's wild.
I know, I think about it sometimes on a minute level, and it really does, I get emotional. It makes me like tear up,
Mhm.
you know, I really, it touches me. It's a good feeling.
Mhm.
It's not sad tears, it's happy tears.
Totally.
Yeah.
So, Tara, how do you feel the concept of celebrity has been evolving with TikTok Live in the entertainment industry?
I think it's changing in a way that the way that we used to view celebrity as being like everybody in the world knows this person, is that's a celebrity, or I want to be famous like that. Like I want to be famous like Michael Jackson, or I want to be famous like Tim Heidecker, or I want to be famous like Joe Rogan. You know, it's
Yeah.
like there's different levels of celebrity, but I think what's happening with TikTok Live, this new form of creating these communities, because all you really need is 1,000 true fans to sustain yourself as a professional creator. But I'm seeing more and more of like, there's only so many fans that you can entertain on a personal level, and that's really what the connection is with this form of entertainment, is the community, the host. You are the host and you're connecting with people. The celebrity is looking more like there's more of them. They're not as big, but they're just as big to that person in that community.
Yeah.
And I think what's happening is we went to VidCon this past summer, and I noticed there was a lot of like streamers, and then they're famous in their own right.
Mhm.
But and who knows, like when Madonna comes in the room, she has an entourage around her, like you can't even look at her, you know, it's like protection. And I think that at this point, I think now the public is recognizing these people are becoming famous, and I think we're going to start seeing more treatment, like you're going to get more protection when you go to places in public. You're going to be treated more like a celebrity now.
Yeah.
I think it's starting to turn its way to like treating us more like celebrities when we're out in public.
It's interesting. It's like, what's the number that makes you a celebrity?
Right.
Like we're in New York City, right? So what was your example? Who was your example? Oh, Madonna.
Right.
Madonna walked down the street, every single person would recognize her, probably.
Right.
Or maybe that's but a lot. And if the other example was Joe Rogan, would be probably right now a lot also, but arguably less.
Yeah.
And then who was
Tim Heidecker.
And then Tim Heidecker would be less again. But I would imagine the people that if 1 in 1,000 people recognize him, and one in 100 recognize, 1 in 50 recognize Joe, and every other person recognizes Madonna. Like, so that's because their media was spread all across the USA or the world to greater or lesser degrees. But I would argue that, like, so a streamer right now, the audience is also spread over the US, but it's smaller, but their attachment would be the same. Someone seeing the front would be the same as seeing Madonna right now.
Right.
Or
That's
like,
what I mean. Like they're just as big to that one person in that community.
and it
like,
will, over time, it will grow. So
Yeah.
there's a time element to it. Madonna was doing it for ages.
Yeah.
She's been doing it for a long time. So like the celebrity will grow over time. Like people, like if you're the 1,000 true fans idea, it's like you can't maintain, it's not the same 1,000 people. It's constantly cycling forward. So you imagine in 5 years' time, that 1,000 people has got larger and larger, and I think it will grow. It will just, the celebrity in air quotes will grow, but it won't be as explosive as those early stars.
And even with the content creators early on the platform, they grew massively. Like their celebrity is pretty big too.
Yeah.
But it's because it's short form, and it's replayable over and over again, where this is live entertainment. If you're not there, you miss it. And
it
so
will change.
it will change. I was going to ask you a question. Have you ever had a moment when someone in the public has recognized you? And what was that like?
A couple times. I don't know. You know, I was just grateful, and they were nice. Nobody's crazy yet, so it was great. But Yeah, I mean, like what you guys are saying, it's like Tom Cruise, for example. Like, I don't know how many millions of dollars he has, but it's probably a lot.
Yes, some
And
large number of $1 million.
If it's $100 million to one person versus like this new form of entertainment is 5 million to 20 people.
Right.
So like,
Yeah.
I think that is a good thing
Right.
in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe too, it's like people who watch, let's say, I'll just pick a random example, the Franck Show. There are people who watch that an hour a night.
Mhm.
How much are they watching Tom Cruise?
Right.
Like
Right.
maybe you've known Tom Cruise for 10
Exactly.
years, and maybe it was like a couple hours a year or something like
It's
that.
not an hour a
And it's
night.
maybe the volume
Yeah.
comparison of that.
Yeah.
Where, of course, you're going to care more about that person.
Yeah.
I'd like to add something to it as well. How many dollars have those viewers given directly to Tom Cruise, where he saw the dollar number come in and be like, "Oh, thank you to that person. Thanks for coming to my movie. Thanks for coming."
Thanks for supporting. I
zero.
appreciate it. No, it
Zero
doesn't
of the
happen.
dollars have. No,
Yeah.
I have some of my dollars, all of our dollars in this room have gone to Tom Cruise and Madonna. There's been a Madonna song on in a store.
With a Netflix subscription.
Right.
So
Exactly.
Netflix.
Yeah.
You've been to a movie, you've seen
you went to Universal Studios.
right. It's all flowing back. And you kind of know that, but you don't really. And it's going to handfuls of big people here. So the connection is different because your person watches you an hour a night, or a streamer, they're watching an hour a night. And I give you $5.
Yeah.
That's way more money coming from my pocket into the streamers than it
means,
feels
I
like
think
going to Tom Cruise.
that's just, it means more. It
Yeah.
means so much more. And just to answer your question about celebrity, like to prove a point, we were on a rooftop in New York City not too long ago, speaking to a group of people, and we asked them directly, like, who is the most famous live streamers that you know of on, and they were like, they mentioned Yes, Serena, they mentioned the Franck, and who was the other person?
I mean, Pinky Dolly was
Pinky Dolly was another.
But so here's the thing.
So
like Pinky Dolly is a great example of a crossover. So like they became more famous on that app on the live streaming side because they crossed over into the mainstream, right? Oh, not they didn't cross over to the mainstream and start doing their streams on TV. I mean, they became news, but they were news about live streaming, right? It wasn't like, oh, this is what Pinky Dolly's done today. This is what Pia Serena's done today. That's not the news. The news was, whoa, look at this crazy thing. And she's making money and I don't understand it. That was the news.
Right. And specifically, it was a viral video on Twitter that I was fed as well at the time of Pinky Doll doing the NPC trend.
Is it Doll or Dolly?
It's Doll. I call her Dolly and have in videos that I've posted. Okay. Pinky Dolly.
Yeah.
I butchered
that's
names.
her nickname now, Pinky Dolly.
Okay.
Yeah. I did interview Pinky Doll at the second Live Fest, and kind of talked about that, about the influence that she's had on TikTok Live and how she felt about it. And she had a really deep, interesting answer, far from an NPC.
Right.
Talking about how she was from the ghetto.
Right.
And how she can't believe, like, she was just full of gratitude of live streaming. And it was really a beautiful message when Captain Eric and I were.
Yeah, it really was. That was another choking up moment there. It touched me. It was really nice.
Yeah. Tara hung out with Global Live.
Yeah, we hung out for a minute at Global. It was fun.
You were kind of watching the dance floor together.
Yeah, we were, but it was cool because we were both dressed in like TikTok colors. Like I had on the red and she had on the blue, and then we sat next to each other and we were like TikTok girls. It was fun.
So that is a route. I think if we're talking about increasing celebrity, that is a route to it, but that hasn't like solved the puzzle yet. Right. Like people are still looking at it as like an other,
it's
as opposed
not its
to
own
like
thing yet.
Its own. And I question whether it can. It's like can it cross over into the mainstream, or is it becoming the mainstream? And I think if we accept it's becoming the mainstream, then you pile all the effort in behind it. And you promote it in these other channels, but the goal isn't to like offboard onto this old thing, because everyone in Hollywood is it's like difficult right there.
Mhm.
We have friends and people who work in the industry,
Yeah.
in TV industry, amazing producers in like reality TV, like following them on
They're out of
TikTok
jobs,
and
like,
it's difficult.
yeah.
So it's like, it's not like let's use this and promote and get to this thing that's glowing over here, because it's not glowing, and it's partly not glowing because the eyes are going to live streaming.
Right.
So I think as an industry, I'm not saying, you know, you can't do this collectively, but ultimately as an industry, it has to support itself. Yay, New York. You know, like you become the most famous person on the TikTok live app, and no one knows you on TV over here. In the same way as like each industry moves on because the TV's old and this is new.
Yeah. It's just the cycle of entertainment life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird to go through this transition. It feels like, you know, of course, I feel bad for the people that I see from Hollywood who are posting videos. Terrible. And who knows in 20 years, you know, who's giving the same, you know, who's making the same complaints.
Yeah. They're talking about you old live streamers.
Right.
It's a crumbling industry because it's all like in VR in the cloud somehow.
We grew up in the golden age of television, you know, and before that, our grandfathers and grandmothers witnessed radio stars losing their jobs and TV stars taking it over. Like that was a transition that they went through. And now I think we're lucky, like it's really cool to be in this position to see this transition happen right in front of our face and actually be a part of it as well.
Blue Shift Creative, really innovative company. It's really cool. Because that name really talks about, well,
the shift. Yeah. TV killed the radio star, right?
Yeah. And then, you know,
and Radio Gaga.
Radio Gaga.
Yeah, isn't that's what the Queen song is about?
Is it about the same thing?
All we need is Radio Gaga, Radio Goo Goo.
Yeah, it was sad because the TV killed it. Yeah.
Someone still loves you. He's like singing.
He's sad about the end of the radio because TV's taken over. Well, now, streaming's taken over TV.
Yeah, it seems like just to try to fall in love with the like how things change and develop, and like there's so much beauty in that. And of course, it's if you're used to something and you're in a habit and you're constantly doing something, it's easy to be sad and nostalgic, but it's not the winner's mentality. And you just have to, like, live streaming is hot and it's growing, and the skills to live stream, it's like anybody can learn. But like anything else, I think it can be a little frustrating at the beginning.
Yeah,
I was streaming to 5 people. Now, I was too excited about it. I was used to.
What do you mean too excited?
Well, I was not to rant a lot about myself.
There
was a time where I was doing stand-up comedy starting in 2013, and I would spend 3 hours a night to practice 5 minutes of material to 5 comedians who have already heard it before in an empty bar. Right. So when I was on TikTok Live, my first stream was March 6, 2020. But the fact that there were 5 or 10 people there, it was incredible.
Oh, you'd already got more people in the room.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I just doubled my audience.
Yeah, I think for people in the older entertainment, sometimes really it's the results that you get out of it, the satisfaction of people laughing in a room. And we talked about this at the Laugh House, educational day, or whatever you want to call it that we did. But it's to really embrace the results, the community, like it's like the chat, really, like people talking in there and embracing it. It's like that is a bunch of people having a great time, feeling community. And if you can really empathize with that and understand that that's the same thing, I think you get incentivized. You can teach yourself to be incentivized by that. And
if there's a way you could just like envision in your mind that all of those people that you see, like that number of people that you see, they're literally sitting in a room. You're on a stage, they're sitting in a room, there's lights down, like you don't, if you can see that, then that is exactly what's happening. That is exactly what's happening. They're just, in your mind, that's what's happening. To them, they're watching you directly sitting in their chair. That's a beautiful thing too, is that the person watching you is getting a direct show from you right there. It's like so intimate.
Yeah, so I wonder if, I mean, we're doing this audio only as well. Like, wouldn't it be fun to listen to a Joe Rogan podcast that was live? Like, do they broadcast it live?
I don't actually know.
I don't think they do.
Yeah.
Like, so there are some shifts changing. Like, that would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine it could be more fun and exciting. And you would stick around and watch it. There's obviously downsides, like you can't do that whenever you want. So that's the benefit of
And
the
the
podcasting.
echoes.
Yeah, and the echoes.
And the problems and the technical problems.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have technical problems on the podcast because they record it well and then they can edit
It
it.
takes the difficult part out. Was it David Chang? He said it's live is difficult.
Yeah.
It takes the difficulty out of it.
Right.
It's not live.
The risk.
Yeah.
So also notice like Netflix is really pushing the
Mike Tyson fight
fight.
with
So that is on
Ron
Netflix
Paul.
live. And if you go on Netflix right now, you can register for that event.
Mm-hmm.
You can click a button with your TV remote registering for event. Does that remind you of anything?
This is what happened. I know exactly what happened. Okay. Somebody at Netflix, one of the people up there was watching TikTok live, and they were like, somebody's like, oh, don't forget to register for my live event coming up next week. And they were like, the next day they went into work like, guys, you're never gonna I have the greatest idea. And now and now you can register for the fight that's going to be on Netflix coming up in a month.
Yeah.
Thanks to TikTok Live.
So there's a lot of bits that are coming together, and it's like that is happening. Here's another observation, if you don't mind.
Please.
Having traveled a lot recently,
Mhm.
like planes don't have, like, new planes aren't putting TVs in the backs of the seats.
Mm-mm.
And if you look around the plane, and everyone is on their phone, basically.
It has a little thing that
Has a
holds
little-
it.
Yeah,
It holds
goes
your
this way
device.
and this way. And you connect to the Wi-Fi and you stream their entertainment. Like, it's not, that's only because the signal, the amount of signal is too weak to be doing other stuff. But like, people are watching on the device that we're streaming to, right? They're
Yeah.
already doing that. It's not like, oh, if only we could get these streams to somewhere where people's eyes are. Literally,
They're there already.
the screens are getting removed from public places
Mm.
and they're being replaced
They're more
by the
personal
phone
now,
that is
yeah.
already there. So like, the distribution route is in place. All you need is the Wi-Fi on the plane to be strong enough, and then people will be watching live streams.
Yeah.
So we've talked about comparing older forms, existing, but also older forms of entertainment, such as being in front of an audience, and how when people tap the screen, it's kind of like people are clapping along, things like that, and the bar sales, kind of like the tips.
Yeah.
And I think that is useful to kind of teach somebody how live streaming is a real thing, and you can, and here's something relatable.
Yeah.
You pace them. And I'm curious about the leading part and something, the elements of live streaming that are special to live streaming. And something that just jumps at me is co-hosting with some other person who's currently live, and some magical collaboration, just the stars that you enjoy. If Madonna and Tom Cruise just suddenly, how do they interact with each other, and what happens, and what magic? And then what if the communities had some kind of battle or live match, where they compete? And I guess, like, what else, I think it's kind of like, as somebody who's running a show, I think, what it's kind of like building, like, what can be, like, what could this thing be? Can we just dive into that a bit and just it's a hard thing, it's an open-ended question, but
So if the building blocks are community and audience participation, I think the has to be relate, or a big part of it is gotta be connecting people on live in a way that hasn't been possible to do before. And it will be the people that get good at it will be good at it. Because my question is, would it be really that fun to see Tom Cruise and Madonna on a live stream together? It'd be like, yes, but would it be that fun if you didn't know who they are? I don't know. That's the billion-dollar
good
question.
question. That's a
right?
really good
Is
question.
that to say this new era of entertainment?
Maybe they're
it's
not
more
good.
about
Yeah.
is the thing itself good?
Right.
Yeah.
Is the piece of material on
Yeah.
the Discovery
Yeah.
album good? Not have you done a movie in the
Yeah.
past?
Yeah, their
Right.
co-host in
Yeah.
this fictional world would be interesting only in that we know what they've done previously, not necessarily in itself. They might crush it, but my bet would be someone who has been practicing at it and is as a skilled performer as they are, so they've been practicing it for the last 3 years, would be better than them, and there's no competition there. So, like, but your question is like, where could this go? It like TV shows that are cross country, cross territory, like different groups of people
global.
coming together, and they're all stars in their own right, doing things together. Like we saw a clip of a stream from China that's big on Douyin, the Chinese equivalent of TikTok, and the stream is based on a popular soap opera that used to be on TV there. And it's multiple people on one camera.
In a studio.
In a studio, but the studio set, it looked like a bar kind of setup. There was maybe 5 or 6 performers on screen,
It was
too close at the front. And we had to have the stream described to us because we don't speak Mandarin, but like, basically what they were doing, it was audience interaction of a continuation of the story that used to be on television, but that's happening in real time in front of you. Fan fiction, but high quality.
Yeah.
So, and it's interesting, they're doing that on one screen. That's not a multi-guest.
No, it was just one. It was
but
like,
it could
yeah.
work multiple different ways. You could take those characters once that got big enough, and then they've all got their own channels, and now they're multi-guesting on maybe the show that you're watching, whatever it is.
Oh my God, the possibilities are endless.
One of them goes to the US. Like back in the old days, you'd have a TV show and then you do a special where the cast goes to America, and it's like the American, or the movie goes to America, or whatever. It's like you could do this, set this up, and then have one of the cast members in the US. And it's all real and live, but also fiction at the same time. And it's, yeah, something in there is definitely exciting.
That's interesting. You know, I just did a deep dive into comedy last night and was watching a lot of old videos from Don Rickles to Norm Macdonald and just all over the place. And, you know, I just was watching, and obviously when you look at older comedy, it doesn't look as impressive because, you know, the culture changes. But also, like, even with newer stuff, it, you know, just having the privilege to like co-host with people like Moon Tell That, you know, who's like a brilliant comedian on live and really understands the platform. It seems like in a lot of ways, like the comedians or just the people on TikTok now, it's like they have the goods. Like there's a lot of really high quality moments that are just, it's really good TV, for lack of a better word. And it does seem, it's not like we need to make, there's not that much more work I feel like that needs to be done. I mean, higher quality, of course, less echo, better lighting. Yeah. But compared to like the people on TV, like I was watching and I wasn't that impressed. I was just kind of like, that's kind of stupid.
Right.
But like there's funnier things that happen. Scrolling TikTok all the time.
Yeah. So even like the live TV, coming back to the Jimmy Fallon show. Yeah. Like looking at that show, if you just watch one of those shows, like 30 minutes of it, like each guest comes out and it's probably the segment is 3 to 5 minutes long, 5 at a stretch. It's a long time. And within that time, the example yesterday was, who was the singer? Can you remember?
It was Kelsey P. I can't pronounce it. It was an
maybe
Italian
actually it
last
wasn't
name.
her. It was another guest, but
Salma Hayek.
Yeah, within that section, they came out, said hello, then recreated a photograph of her with a white snake around her, and they did like a little skit around that. And Jimmy Fallon had a fake white snake, and they
had to do a dance. Yeah.
And then they went back, and then they said some other stuff that was just leading up to basically another segment, which was a game that was pre-prepared that she had, and she asked him some questions, and that was the end of the segment.
And they plugged her new show.
Yeah, and they plugged the show.
For
so
water,
like and that is a at the top of its game live television show.
Yeah.
Which, as we know, is really
Is-
difficult.
yeah.
There's lots of moving parts and all of that.
And it's not technically live, it's filmed live.
Oh yeah.
It's filmed live.
Yeah, live on tape.
Yeah, and it's that mistakes are edited out.
So like you have to learn from that, because they're not saying, oh, we're doing an interview, let's get her in, sit down, you got 5 minutes. We'll just figure it out, don't worry.
No,
Like,
there's a
the
lot of
stakes are too-
preparation.
Yeah.
There's a skit, there's a script that people,
Yeah.
you know, that sit down, there's writers that come up with that.
Yeah.
It's a team that puts that together.
But so that's very ordered. And I
Mhm.
think live streaming needs to borrow from that.
Yeah.
But can't be as ordered.
Mm-mm.
So it may be some structure over a half an hour or an hour where there are things that you know that are going to happen, or things that you've caused to happen, but it doesn't happen at minute 3 exactly, and it doesn't happen in exactly the way that it was kind of scripted out. You're not, so like there's something new in there, and it's not defined yet, but that how it's done is different. I think it's like how we, like even the red carpet, it's like tonight you're live for 30 minutes. It's a 30-minute show, so there's no scope live on TikTok live, right? There's no scope to run over because it's going great. So there's 30 minutes of that particular audience. So you could just go on and wing it, and you would probably do really well. But can you stack the odds in it being better by, I know you know the people you're going to talk to, you've got a couple of bits that you'll probably lean into, some other things that might happen behind what you're doing that you can use as the live performer. So it's not like the thing happens at exactly the time, but you know it's all there as tools. And so maybe it's that these are tools that you build in and you give yourself,
Mhm.
so that you're not just at sea when you're live.
It's like your utility belt, your live stream utility belt of skills
Yeah.
and tools.
I relate to that, and it's almost like these little vehicles, or these little, like it's like a bit, I
Yeah,
guess.
it's a
but like-
clunky word. I don't. Yeah, it's the bad way of saying it, but
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like in this, you don't expect, like in a movie, you really expect that you have them there for an hour
Mhm.
or whatever it is. But here it's a flow
Mhm.
of
Yeah.
people, and like you said, you can't plan it outside of the start and stop time and saying I'm going to stream for an hour. You don't know who the co-host would be and what will happen. It's all this like moving
Mhm.
thing, but you do know that you have these, like, whatever you want to call them, like these bits or vehicles where for a little while I'm going to multicast, or this event will happen,
Right.
and they can flow in and out.
Mhm.
And those things should be entertaining for the same person, because there are some people who watch the whole time, so they have to adjust. They can't be so specific that the exact thing happens.
Mhm.
Um,
There's also the viewer. There's the viewer that comes in, stays for a bit, and goes. They're busy doing
Mhm.
stuff, but they wanted to check it out. There's the person that sticks there for the whole time. There's also the viewer that comes in, and maybe they're cooking dinner, or maybe they're actively doing something else, and they're kind of like passively / actively watching, and they might come back in every 5 minutes or every 10 minutes. And if they come back in and it's exactly the same thing, the third time you show up, that when they're opening their app up to get their 5 minutes of entertainment, the third time that you come up, they're probably going to scroll right by.
Right.
But if each time they do it, it's slightly different, or something's happening, or like there's a different vibe in the air,
It's
that
more
is what
attractive.
they're going to keep coming back, and that's a valuable watcher.
Mhm.
Somebody who comes back every 10 minutes. If you're live for 2 hours, that's who
Yeah.
you want too.
So that's like a way of catering to that type of the stream of viewers that coming in. Like you can't just do the same thing the entire hour or the entire 4 hours. It's like change it up, segments. We always talk about that when we're doing one-on-one creative calls with the creators in the agency.
Mhm.
So I don't feel so bad referencing comedy again, because we're here for Laugh House. So,
Yes.
Yes.
you know what I mean? If I had told you a joke
Mhm.
and then Tara walked into the room
Mhm.
and I was telling Tara the joke, you would still have some value in watching her reaction. There's something
Mhm.
fun about that.
Yeah.
And I think that goes on in
Yeah.
not just comedy, but as a live streamer, the
Uh.
audience experiencing, I want to see this funny bit happen when there's a new group of audience members who are losing their minds to this thing happen.
Right.
So I think that's a powerful tool.
That's
the audience is
huge. Yeah.
interacting with each other.
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
is.
So to break that down, you're basically saying once you've heard or absorbed the first piece of fun or bit of content, there's a huge pleasure. You're right in watching someone else receive a joke.
It is.
Especially if it's kind of a prank where
Uh-huh.
you didn't know it's a joke the first time around.
Yeah.
And that's obviously
Yeah.
Because then you feel like you're on the inside of the joke now,
Yeah.
and you feel like you're part of the club. So then it's like you're laughing with everyone.
Yeah,
So you're
yeah.
like,
And part of that too is the audience, that change. It doesn't have to be, oh, I'm getting pranked and now I'm inside of the joke. I think there's something about just some kind of change happening emotionally. I think the moving of that person, just like when you watch a movie, you're sad and you're excited.
Yeah.
mhm.
Fundamentally, it's that change that's kind of keeps you attached to
Yeah,
it.
it's like
Yeah.
that roller coaster of emotions that person's taking you
Yeah.
on, that ride.
Right. The thing's evolving. I'm literally
Mhm.
kind of like biting onto it and like, wait, what's going on here?
Mhm.
And kind of like, questioning it and then enjoying it on a
Mhm.
different level. Like trying to craft that for the audience, I think
Yeah.
is something for the future
Yeah.
too.
If you go to movie school or like
Film school.
film school, like for script writing, things like that, like or you do an online course or whatever, like there are rules loosely, no, quite strict rules, like 3 acts in a movie, what happens, like
Yes,
where
there's
the audience,
methods,
what
there's
you're
formulas.
expecting, and like that. I don't think that that's set in live streaming, and I would question if there ever will be.
I don't
It might
know.
be you might go to live streaming school in 10 years time to learn to be a live streamer as an 18-year-old, and you'll be told, okay, there's 6 acts in a
Yeah.
in a 1-hour live stream, but it's not like the movies where they all happen in the same order. Number 1 always happens then, but 5 can happen next, or 4 can happen next. I'm just speculating. Like, I think it will be far more like fluid, but there is still rules and structures in place, and it'll be different for each different person. But there will be this set of like, this is the framework to making a good live stream.
And it will be called the BLU print.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I had an epiphany when you were talking about, when you were saying, for lack of a better word, TV, when you were referring to it, that makes really good TV.
Mhm.
It is TV.
Mhm.
Here's the epiphany. What does TV stand for?
Television.
All right, telly. What is this? It's a telephone. It's a telephone, and you're watching stuff on your telephone. It's a television.
Television.
It
Yeah.
is a TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. No, I think
I just
know
dropped the mic.
I know you're like joking, but it's also real.
It is. It's the new TV.
Yeah. It's just super exciting to be a part of this, as we were saying before. And I guess I'm just very curious about how I don't know, like I got to watch MMA over a decade plus. And you could literally see how the fighters all develop styles and how there are memes that come in and out. Is memes the best way to
Yeah, I
say
think
it?
it is.
Yeah, I think so. Storylines.
Metas might be another route.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes wrestling's better or whatever. But to know that this is what's happening right now, and we're just at the early stages of this new form of entertainment and live streaming.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun just to see I think the obvious things will be quality will go up.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
lighting, the visual quality, the audio quality. That's an easy guess to make.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that will happen like with people improving it, but also just technology getting better
Yeah.
to the point where your phone is as good as an SLR camera and the
Because
audio.
There
Yeah.
can be a market for it.
Yeah,
Companies will say, "Oh, you want that."
I mean, if you
Yes.
could get a device, maybe it's not a phone, telephone, but if you could get a device where it was as good a quality camera as you need, and you can maybe Bluetooth another good quality camera and it's great audio, like, I think you would take that, right? So technology will solve a lot of the problems, and a lot of the problems, or a lot of the ability we have now are technological problems that have been solved that we weren't really even aware were problems before. So there's like, like the Jimmy Fallon, to go back to it, it's like it's really hard to put on that show. And they solved the problem of broadcasting a difficult show with cameras and a network and pylons with towers and wires
and a team of people who move things and do things.
Yeah, but also like TVs and like there's so much infrastructure there, and it's like you can only do what you do now is because it's been built on all the shot, like the Sam Altman thing. It's all of these problems have been solved, and people aren't even seeing that it's solved. Like, here's the solution. Now you can broadcast your own Jimmy Fallon show. Literally, it's like, hey, by the way, you can do your own Jimmy Fallon show right now. No disrespect to you, but you can, and it can be just as entertaining, and
like,
you can earn as much money as him.
Yeah, or you can say,
hell?
hey, Jimmy Fallon, guess what?
Yeah.
You could just do your own show here
Yeah.
and get all the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like there's the tech side and then the entertainment side.
Yeah.
And I think although the tech side is really daunting. I
Yeah,
mean, it's
that's true. I'm saying it's easy. It kind of is.
I mean,
well.
it is. It's like if you're going to do something though, and you want to do it professionally, and you want to make sure it looks good, you're going to take the time and you're going to invest in getting to know how to use the equipment. I mean, that is the tool you're using to make that thing. So it's like when you want to bake a cake, you're going to learn how to turn an oven on and set the temperature and all that stuff.
But it's not like it's not a bread maker. We're not dealing with a bread maker where the bread gets made.
Just mix it and it does it all for you.
We're saying you can make this bread at home now. It's still hard.
If you can make your own cake from scratch, you got to make it from scratch.
Yeah, like that's the tech side, and then I think the other side is far less tangible. You know, how do I make a show, and like it's so unsolved, and I really feel like this, like the blue creators and I guess the outer perimeter of creators out there are like really just working on this problem, and I just want to like articulate that and say that because it's kind of fun to reflect on. And anytime there's like a frustration for like, oh, like I'm trying to get more viewers, I'm trying to solve it. It's like you are one of the people pushing this big boulder up a hill that we're all doing in this industry, and it's good things come from hard work. It is hard. And it's like a pat on the back a little bit where you're doing something, it's fun. It's the world.
It's almost worth, if you're feeling the like heaviness of that, it is worth sticking into YouTube, like old TV shows. Look at them. They're rubbish.
They are.
Like, I don't mean they're entertaining, and they were the best that people could possibly do at the moment.
We've seen so much since then, though. Now, when you go back to look at it, it's just like it pales in comparison.
Yeah, and like
the writing, the lighting, the
even
set design,
modern writing
everything.
right now for television. It's the pacing is different because it holds your attention different. Like back then, they were just doing what they saw was best, and then they were getting feedback from people, but it wasn't immediate. They weren't getting no one was sending them emojis saying this is good or money saying this is good. They had to just then figure out the next iteration based on some feedback that they got. So like the ability to move this quicker is definitely there.
Yeah.
The innovation that we've seen in the last 2 years is like outstripping those first 5 or 10 years of like television innovation.
And like
it's clunky for them.
And like you said, Frank, they're going to start creating tools and market it to live streamers so that's going to speed up the process as well, because more people are going to have the equipment that's going to better their streams.
I think the point you just made about going back and watching old TV to see that they didn't have it together and it wasn't good, but it was the best at the time.
Yeah. And
to really get better resolution on the past, I think that helps you see the trajectory for the future.
Right.
And that's part of the reason I wanted to interview you guys. And just get more resolution in like where we're at right now to try to help predict, and see, because then you and your own stream can kind of see that. And I'm appreciative for the Guide to Live and the podcast putting out, because that really doesn't exist right now in this industry. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, it's been fun to talk, and we are excited for your performance tonight.
Yeah,
I know it's a big one for you. This is a big crossover. We're talking about crossovers. Pinky Doll, news about news. This is you, a live streamer, hosting a real world event in which real world people will be there that aren't watching your live stream in the same way as another host would do it, and the people that are there don't necessarily watch their TV show. It's crossing over, and I think these are the moments, the real life moments, that will push it over the edge. And it won't be this one alone, it'll be this plus that plus this plus that, that eventually positions everyone's like, oh, I get it. Now I understand, because it'll be you and 100 other streamers who are positioning themselves in the same way.
And really, you know, I joined Lou in 2022 and you know, a year or two ago, and it's, you know, I was a fraction of the live streamer. I really learned a lot from participating in just Blue education campaigns and just being around, and really I learned so much from you guys. So to be in this situation now where we're kind of in New York, you know, talking as peers you know, on this subject is super fun, and I just have a lot of gratitude for you guys, and thank you, co-founders of Blue, Ben and Tara, for making this great thing.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for having us here today.
The feeling is mutual.
It is, definitely.
All right.
Thank you guys so much. This has been a Friday Live from New York, Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Bye.